Hey there everyone, happy Thursday. I'm King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon, and we finally got a cool down. And it wasn't much of one, but it started, and we're going to see more of that cool down on the way as we head over the next few days and heading into the weekend. So let's go ahead and get into it, because there's not a whole lot to this, but I did want to point out first what's happening here later on into July. You can see the conditions here out of the west coast, according to the Climate Prediction Center, are calling for temperatures to be near, if not slightly below average, and we're kind of in that area. Now, the eastern side of the country, boy, it looks like it is going to be warm, and we were warm again today, just not quite as hot. 84, that's it for a high. That's 10 degrees cooler than what we saw yesterday out at SeaTac Airport. 85 in Shelton, 60s out towards the coast, 70s up towards Bellingham, and well, guess what? That was the 17th time, at least out at SeaTac Airport, that we have hit the 80s so far this year. Now, we typically average at about 28 days throughout the year, so kind of on pace for that. And you can see the 90-degree days that we've seen so far. That has been 3, and we've actually seen a couple of those yesterday and the day before, back on Tuesday. 95 plus, haven't quite reached that yet, and thankfully haven't been anywhere near that 100-degree mark. But here's a look at the forecast. We're going to call for those cooler numbers to be with us and stick with us for some time, as we got the 70s arriving tomorrow and lasting at least through Monday, then starting to warm back up into the 80s later on into next week. Check out this marine layer that's in place. That marine air has caused and created a lot more of that thickness to the air. It's kind of heavy and it's cool and damp out here towards the north coast. So the push, you're definitely seeing more of it than what we're noticing farther to the east, but it is going to be arriving, and we will see maybe even a few more clouds arriving there in Bellingham and even here in Tacoma as we head on into the day for tomorrow. Gorgeous shot right now, though, of the skies that are for the most part blue. Still a little more of that wildfire haze in the sky, and there, looking at our Payne Field camera, looking pretty nice, and here in Seattle too, as we sit at 84 degrees here into this hour. And this is as of about 6:30 to 7 o'clock. We're going to cool down tonight and get back well into the 50s. Then we're back into more of the 70s by tomorrow afternoon. Check out those clouds. Those are going to be returning for us. Check out the wind barbs. They're coming in from off of the coast right now, and that is more of a westerly direction. Not a ton of wind, but between about 5 to 15 miles per hour. That's helping us out. And this is the difference right now from where we were at this point yesterday when it comes to our temperatures. Pretty much everyone is cooler than where they were than 24 hours ago, except across more of eastern Washington. You can see Leavenworth up by about 3 degrees, Wenatchee up by about 6 degrees, and it looks like Quileute, we're actually right on par as we sit at the number of 64 degrees currently at this hour. 20 degrees warmer, though, as you get closer to Puget Sound and over parts of the Kitsap Peninsula. So yeah, the air mass, it is cooling, and it is going to continue to do so here as we head on into the night. Check out what's happening on radar. You can see things pretty quiet for us here across the region. We had a little more of that onshore flow making its way back into the picture, and that's going to stick around. Now, I mentioned the wildfire smoke haze and how that's somewhat in our atmosphere, mainly pretty high up, and not a whole lot of it really impacting air quality at all. But check out how the winds go from west to east, and it's starting to really break apart and usher out this wildfire haze. It's beginning to move on out of here, and as we head on into more of the day tomorrow, heading into tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m., most of it pretty much gone, and that continues to work eastward as we head on into tomorrow evening and into tomorrow night. You can see that right there beginning to take shape, and we'll see maybe just a little bit, still kind of here and there, as we get a couple of fires here on this side of the state, but definitely not going to be nearly as much of it around as what we've been noticing here for the past few days. So looking at your temperatures, clear skies during the overnight, cooler air mass in place, that'll help us to drop down into the 50s. Tomorrow morning, 59 degrees, but back into the mid-50s by Sunday. Could be a few spots, maybe even in the 40s at that point. Then we're bouncing back up into the upper 50s for those overnight lows heading into next Tuesday. And check out the high temperatures staying around those 70s. Averages at 78, so we're going to be cooler than average for the next 3 days. Not by much, but at least cooler than average, and that's a nice change of pace for a while. 78 up heading into Monday, and then we're back into the 80s Tuesday and Wednesday and next Thursday as we top off at 80 degrees. But as far as some of that really high heat that we just got done with, looks like we're going to be staying away from that for a little while. We showed you the 8 to 14 day forecast. That's looking to be pretty nice for us as we head towards the end of the month. Near, if not slightly cooler than normal. All right, here's your forecast as we head into the night. We're going to drop those temperatures down into the mid and lower 50s. 52 in Port Townsend, 53 in Shelton, 54 around Orcas Island, and we'll dip down to 58 in Bellingham. All right, so the high temperatures tomorrow will top off at 71 in Bellingham, 68 in Orcas Island, 65 at Anacortes, and more of those mid-60s over Camano and Whidbey Islands, while seeing low 70s around Arlington, Marysville, Monroe, getting up to 75 degrees. We'll top off at about 77 in Shoreline, mid-70s for us in Issaquah, Bremerton topping off at 76 degrees, and farther south around Belfair, Tacoma, Puyallup, all in the mid to upper 70s, at least getting closer to the 80-degree mark, but quite a bit cooler as you head off towards the south and west there in Olympia at 74. Farther south of there, well, through the Chehalis Valley, we'll be in the mid-70s around some of those parts and see the 60s out towards the coast, with numbers around some of the same marks there in Claylock and at Tahola, topping off at 70 or 66 in Hump Tulips. We'll be at 71 in the whole rainforest, and Lake Crescent 64. Port Angeles will top off at 66 degrees. Here's your 7-day forecast. It looks a lot more comfortable, right? We'll see a few more clouds around, especially tomorrow morning, and probably see a bit more of them around heading into the next couple of mornings after that too, for both Saturday and Sunday, maybe even Monday, giving us more of that trend too before things start to break apart and give way to a lot more sunshine as we head into the morning hours later into next week as things start to heat up yet again. So if you've been waiting for the cool air to arrive, it's starting already. A lot more of it to come here throughout the night and into the day for tomorrow. Open up those windows, let that cool air into your homes, and allow Mother Nature to be your air conditioning. All right, everyone, have a great Thursday. Enjoy your night, and also have a great Friday as we get ready to end off the weekend. We'll talk to you soon.